In the heart of a city that never sleeps, where dreams rise as high as the glittering skyscrapers and shadows linger in the alleys below, a man named Richard Williams was building his world. In the day, he was a brilliant software engineer, crafting solutions that powered the city's rapid pulse. In the night, he was a devoted husband and father, his home alive with the laughter of children and the warmth of family. But beneath the bright lights and busy streets, secrets often whispered louder than the city's endless noise. Richard's story was one of love, betrayal, and the search for something true in a world that often wore a mask. Little did he know, his journey would test the limits of his trust and reshape everything he believed about loyalty, faith, and the heart of a family. Richard was hard-working and respected in his field. He was married to Susan, a marketing executive, and together, they had 4 beautiful children who filled their modern apartment with joy and energy. Life seemed perfect for the Williams family until one day, cracks began to show. Susan had been coming home late from work, her excuses vague and unconvincing. Richard, a man of logic and observation, started noticing subtle changes. Secretive phone calls, hushed whispers, and an emotional distance that stung his heart. Driven by his instincts, Richard hired a private investigator. The evidence that came back was devastating. Susan was having an affair with her boss. The betrayal crushed Richard. He confronted her. And though Susan tried to deny it, the proof was undeniable. The confrontation was fiery and emotional. Susan, unable to handle the situation, walked out of their home, leaving Richard with the children. Heartbroken but determined, Richard vowed to rebuild his life. Months passed, and Richard focused on his work and children. But deep inside, he still longed for a partner, a woman who would be loyal and trustworthy. His colleagues and friends encouraged him to move on, and after much thought, Richard decided to give love another chance. One day, through a mutual friend, Richard met Bridget Johnson. Bridget was a teacher and the daughter of a well-known pastor. Her reputation as a devoted Christian and her kind demeanor impressed Richard. She was soft-spoken, respectful, and seemed to embody the values he longed for. Though Bridget's reserved social life didn't quite match Richard's active personality, he saw her faith as a promise of loyalty. Surely, Richard thought, a woman raised with such strong values will be faithful. After months of dating, Richard and Bridget got married in a beautiful ceremony in a grand church. They moved into a bigger apartment, blending their lives and expanding their family when Bridget gave birth to 2 more children. For a while, Richard was happy, but soon he noticed subtle changes in Bridget too. She became distant, often excusing herself for long outings or staying glued to her phone. The familiar ache of suspicion crept into Richard's heart. This time, Richard took a different approach. Drawing on his tech expertise, he installed hidden cameras around their home, discreetly placed in everyday items. He hoped his fears were unfounded. Weeks later, as Richard reviewed the footage, his worst fears were confirmed. Bridget was meeting another man, a former classmate from her university days. The betrayal played out on his screen, a stark reminder of his past heartbreak. Unable to contain his emotions, Richard confronted Bridget with the evidence. Their argument shook the walls of their home. Tears flowed, voices were raised, and Bridget eventually admitted to her actions. She packed her belongings and left. Once again, Richard was left alone with his children, his heart heavy with regret. He couldn't believe he had been betrayed twice, even after choosing women he believed to be virtuous. Sitting in his quiet living room, Richard reflected on his choices. He realized he had been searching for loyalty in the wrong places. Titles, outward appearances, and societal expectations. True character, he thought, is not about how someone presents themselves. It's about what they do when no one is watching. From that day, Richard decided to focus on his children and himself. He became their role model, teaching them the importance of honesty, integrity, and love. He no longer sought validation through a partner, but found peace in building a strong, happy family. As the sun set over the bustling city, Richard walked hand in hand with his children, their laughter echoing through the streets. Though life had tested him with heartbreak and betrayal, he found strength in the love of his family. Richard no longer sought perfection in others, but chose to build his happiness from within. The city lights sparkled above as a quiet resolve filled his heart. Richard knew that life's trials were lessons, shaping him into a stronger man and a better father. With his children by his side, he stepped forward into the future, not with bitterness, but with hope. A hope that true happiness would come from the bond they shared and the values he would pass on to them. And so, in the heart of the city, Richard's story became a testament to resilience, love, and the unwavering power of family. So, what do you think men should look for when searching for a wife? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's discuss.